One of the first berries to appear in the spring, and in the case of the everbearing varieties, the last to produce in the late summer, strawberries are the gift that we look forward to every year. That is, if it all goes according to plan. Strawberry plants are insanely prolific, until they aren't. Relatively low maintenance, they don't require much from us compared to what they give in return. However, there are a few things we need to watch out for to keep those berries flowing. Today, I got 8 such things. 8 reasons why you may not be getting the strawberry yields that you feel like you should. Let's dig in and make sure we're doing all the right things by this amazing crop. The process for getting that berry bonanza starts way back when we first plant our strawberries. That's because more than most crops, planting depth really seems to affect these guys. As low-crawling perennials, strawberries are surface growers, and they need to be planted as such. They have a defined crown where all the shoots pop out of the top and all the roots come from the bottom, and this crown cannot be buried. The plants can quickly rot if they're planted too deep. So, if your strawberry production appears to be suffering, well, it could be due to improper depth. It is fixable, but it's non-negotiable. Nearly as important as that planting depth is the plant spacing. Strawberries, like most crops, don't like competition. They don't like competition from other plants, but they especially don't like it from themselves. Pack too tightly together, and you can definitely see lower yields. Aim to plant your single crown strawberries about a foot apart. This will be good for at least a few years. However, as a crawler, like we mentioned before, strawberry plants will quickly spread out and eventually overcrowd themselves. We'll touch more on this later as it affects 2 more tips, but it's just one of those unique issues that we have with the plant that is otherwise not very fussy. Like we said, strawberry plants need space. So that also means getting rid of any competing weeds that might show up. Weeds will battle your strawberry plants for resources, namely water and nutrients. Keep your strawberry patches and containers weed-free to enjoy peak performance. Of course, this helps most crops, but especially strawberries. And speaking of those resources, strawberry plants absolutely love water. In fact, when moisture becomes scarce, the first thing to be sacrificed is not the leaves or stems. It's the fruit. Strawberry plants will not hesitate to direct all water away from flowers and fruit if moisture becomes unavailable. Keep your plants consistently and constantly moist, but never soggy and never saturated. Drainage is therefore important, coupled with an organic rich soil that can retain moisture, but also shed the excess. The other resource, nutrients, is also important. Strawberries not only need to feed, they need to get fed the right nutrients at the right time of the season. For as productive as they are, these guys are generally only fed twice a year. Once in the late summer after the harvest to give those plants some energy back right before the dormancy. Then we go ahead and feed them again a few months later in the late spring to set them up to produce that fruit. Pretty basic stuff, especially for a crop that is so prolific. However, what you feed your strawberries with is going to have a huge effect on those yields. More so than most crops, with strawberries, you gotta go balanced. And by balanced, I mean equal numbers of your NPK. You see, the great majority of fertilizers are high in nitrogen, and this is great for the initial growth. However, excessive nitrogen with strawberries is going to give you great bushy-looking foliage and not much else. To get those blooms both in quality and quantity, we need that middle number, which is phosphorus. And to get the roots to support it all, we need that third number, which is potassium. For both feedings, but especially the spring one, we always aim for a balanced NPK. Dark, rich compost can also be used with great effect, so don't hesitate to top dress it on both in the fall as well as the spring. With all that growth, you're going to eventually run into a strawberry-specific problem, and that's the runners. I've done more than a few videos on these guys, and if you remember, strawberry runners are the vegetative offshoots of the mother plant, and they're this crop's main way of reproducing itself. A special type of shoot, known as a stolon, strawberry runners terminate in a daughter plant, often with one or more along the way. When those young offshoots, perfect clones of the main plant, hit moist soil, they produce new root nodules. Once they root, a new independent strawberry plant is established, and it no longer relies on the main plant. It can then function on its own, and you can see how strawberry plants can then crawl and fill up new spaces in the garden. But as awesome as free strawberry plants are, they're not 100% without cost. Runners, as you can guess, are a massive drain on the mother plant, and being a first-year shoot, well, they're not going to produce any flowers or fruit themselves. Left alone and attached to the main plant, strawberry runners will most certainly affect your harvests. It's best to cut the runners as they start to appear by simply nipping them back at the base. You can still grow the unattached daughter plants by placing them in water for 1 to 2 weeks. They'll soon root, after which time you can plant them up in some soil, and now you have a near unlimited supply of brand new strawberry plants. Speaking of that supply, strawberries are so easy to propagate, it's no wonder they're sold around the world, even in places they shouldn't be. As a temperate crop that needs a winter dormancy to properly flower and fruit, some places are simply too warm to grow strawberries reliably. My motto is usually if a plant is sold in an area, then it's good to go. But strawberries are one crop where you really have to live in the right climate to grow them properly. And finally, even if you do grow them properly, nothing lasts forever, even for perennial powerhouses like strawberries. Yes, these guys do come back bigger and better every year, but it doesn't go on forever. Strawberry plants, needing that winter dormancy, don't produce in the first year. This much is known, but they also seem to burn themselves out about 5 to 6 years after that. If you see your patch declining, it could be time for a restart. Fear not though, simply save some of the runners from that season, starting the process all over again for free next year. So yes, even though they are perennial, you do need to periodically replace your strawberry patch every 5 to 6 years. Fortunately though, it should never cost you a thing. Something else that won't cost us a thing? A full recap of all 8 strawberry tips that we covered here today. Strawberries have near unlimited production when you consider how little work they take. The issue that most growers have with these guys is that some years are really good, while others are kinda bad. Hopefully the 8 tips that we covered here today push your patches over the edge so that every season you can enjoy that berry bounty that you deserve. As always, guys, happy growing, and I'll see you soon.